Hello, and welcome to this 30-minute masterclass on what is the Strategy Journey Learning Pathway with me, creator of the Strategy Journey method and founder of Stratability Academy, Julie Chu. And in this masterclass, we're going to cover the different ways that you'll be able to learn the Strategy Journey method, use its tools and techniques, and apply them to your transformation projects in your business, in your organization, and in your career too. And as I'll be discussing the learning and development journey of different individuals at different stages of their career, this lesson will be appropriate for all users and learners of the Strategy Journey method, whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or an experienced master practitioner. And if you're a senior stakeholder who is running a big team or even an entire company, then these strategies, tools, and techniques are really going to help you to develop your team of people as well, so that you can build that internal capability to help drive your business, your company, and your function and your projects forward. And as we'll be covering quite a lot in this 30-minute masterclass, there'll be specific chapters that you can click on to get directly to the content that is relevant to you and where you have questions. Of course, I think it's best that you watch this entire masterclass from start to finish. But if you want to jump into any of the chapters, I've added the timestamps to each of them in the description below as well. But let's begin. The Strategy Journey Learning Pathway comprises a number of programs and courses where you can learn how to apply the Strategy Journey framework with all its different tools and techniques to help you solve different business problems along any transformation journey, and especially your career journey from analyst to associate to a senior, coach, and master, where your levels of experience in problem solving as a designer, consultant, mentor, and creator increase exponentially. And you'll be learning how to use these 25 dot joining strategy journey canvases that have been specifically designed to help you and other transformation designers and specialists to join the dots between different people, processes, data, systems, and across different geographies too, so that you can achieve more effective transformation in any enterprise that you support, big or small. And so the Strategy Journey Learning Pathway is all about the art and science of end-to-end transformation design. And so what is transformation design? It is a practical application of design thinking, which is actually more of a philosophy rather than a methodology or a process. And if you need any clarification on the difference between design thinking and transformation design using the Strategy Journey method, then I provided a link to the video below that explains all of this. But to be clear, transformation design is a process to achieve effective transformation along the strategy journey of a business end to end. And it is actually a method that combines human-centered design, which is typically what's covered in design thinking, together with operational excellence. And that's what makes it a practical application. And using all the different tools and techniques inside of the different programs in the Strategy Journey Learning Pathway, you'll learn how to apply co-creation to join the dots between data and process performed or managed by people and systems to innovate new service-led opportunities and deliver outcomes of value to all parties with a stake in a business problem or in the business problem that you're trying to solve, whatever that might be. And so the Strategy Journey methodology, which you'll learn in the Strategy Journey Learning Pathway, is a process for practicing transformation design. Now, before we get into the detail of the courses and programs, it's important to explain why we have a learning pathway. The goal of the Strategy Journey framework and methodology is to help you attack and solve different business problems, such as these 10 universal transformation challenges faced by all businesses, or these digital economy challenges that have been heightened by the COVID-19 pandemic, which have caused customers to change their behaviors and causing massive business model disruption and challenges with sustainable transformation inside of firms. And if you're new to the Strategy Journey framework and methodology and you need more context, there's a more detailed video on all these business challenges and how they affect the strategy journey, as well as covering how the framework and the methodology actually works. And I've provided a link to that video in the description below, if you haven't already seen it. Now, when it comes to all transformation projects, and no matter what framework or methodology that you use, including the Strategy Journey framework, application is absolutely key to getting those transformation outcomes of value that you seek. So, with the framework covering the transformation design process for businesses end to end, just think of all the different roles and/or jobs that are involved. Which one are you in or performing right now? And what role do you really want? Where do you want to be playing the game and gain that personal satisfaction and reward or personal growth that makes your career? Look at all of these different roles who play along the strategy journey. And can you see how they don't actually want to achieve exactly the same things, but they do have a common goal, which is to support their organization or their client to succeed? And how will you work with all the different people that are involved in this transformation journey, including different stakeholders from different functions, departments, at a different hierarchical level in an enterprise, with different agendas and roles and responsibilities? And your customers too, whom you will need to co-create with if you're going to be successful at applying human-centered design as a designer or architect of transformation. And this is why we created the Strategy Journey Learning Pathway at the Stratability Academy, as well as teaching you how to use the tools and techniques from the Strategy Journey framework to solve specific business problems based on your role. We've designed the pathway to help you gain the necessary skills, capabilities, and experiences that will help you to grow and/or transform your career, including gaining that clarity on what it is that you want to be doing, as well as how you can gain influence and authority to make you an expert, allowing you to consult and even coach using the strategy journey methodology. And so imagine having all the skills that will help you to be a driver of transformation, a transformation designer, rather than being at the mercy of transformation and change. So let's go through what programs and courses form this learning pathway. And then I'll go through how you want to navigate your way through them to help you develop those skills and build your career. Now, a quick overview and reminder of what is the strategy journey. Simply put, the strategy journey is the business journey, and it describes the 5 stages that businesses undergo when they're implementing changes in order to grow, in order to innovate, in order to solve its problems, in order to provide services to its customers. So every business is constantly undergoing these 5 stages of motivation and leadership, business design, followed by value design, then architecting the business itself, followed by transformation before it all starts again. And navigating the strategy journey is all about helping a business to transform from how it operates today in its current operating model towards a different future where it has a new reality and a target operating model. And as highlighted earlier, this transformation journey is full of different challenges and pitfalls, especially if you don't know how to address the transformation journey and achieve strategy execution correctly. And so it does come down to how you bridge this strategy execution gap. And in the strategy journey method, we provide 3 different paths which you have to combine end to end to enable this journey of transformation. Business design for disruption, transforming operating models with service design, and managing the transformation journey. And at the Stratability Academy, we've developed 3 learning programs that will help you to navigate these 3 paths step by step, showing you how you can use the different tools in the framework, the relevant subset of those 25 strategy journey canvases, to help you achieve your desired transformation successfully. Now, it's important to point out that the role that you play in the transformation journey determines which path you actually take. Which one of these 10 universal transformation challenges or objectives are you responsible for addressing in your role? And similarly, within your role and the challenges that you're working on, which one of these 3 digital economy challenges is your primary purpose? The nature of the problem that you're trying to solve will ultimately determine which courses you need to learn from. And each of the 3 strategy journey paths or programs is actually comprised of 1 or more courses. At the Stratability Academy, we've broken up the programs into a lot of smaller courses, and we've modularized what you need to learn so that we can help you compile the right learning journey to help you solve your specific transformation-based problems. And so if we have a look at the second strategy journey path, transforming operating models with service design, what you need to be doing to discover the relevant customer journeys in order to innovate new services is different to what you need to do to change and build the right components in the operating model of a business to support its transformation efforts. And hence that is why the Transforming Operating Models with Service Design program, also known as TOMS, splits into data-driven transformation service design and operating model transformation design. These two courses in particular are absolutely vital to help those of you who want to bridge the strategy to execution and transformation gaps that exist in business. And as I've highlighted in the book, these gaps are only getting wider. And they're getting wider because the approach taken by many problem solvers and organizations is to jump from ideation with only a high-level strategy and unsubstantiated targets, so things like sales and service delivery targets, but without doing the work to break it down, to work out what to really do. And they jump straight into performing lots of random activities in a panic-like reaction that might get implemented, but then become inflexible to change later. Or there is a big roadmap of activities in some larger organizations that don't actually need doing because things might have changed by the time that they get implemented. So lots of solutions, lots of software, lots of technology, lots of services that don't actually solve any real problems. And these big programs, as well as these short-term band-aid solutions, get funded without understanding the real effort and time, as well as that strategic alignment to what really needs to be done for the longer term. And so you don't get proper return on investment for any of these things. And this is why some projects are cancelled halfway through. And so many might make a false start, and then because of all the random activities, they head in the wrong direction, wasting lots of time and money. And to be clear, this isn't just a problem experienced by big firms. Smaller organizations or smaller companies and startups can get stuck too. There are some great examples of both big firms and smaller startups too failing, which I provided in the case studies in the Strategy Journey book. It's actually in the free 80-page sample that anybody can download, so do take a look at that. And the fact is, the necessary design of services through co-creation and then how to actually make the changes stick through transformation of the operating model is often skipped by firms. And this is the reason why so many transformation projects fail, as we've shown in the statistics available in the book and that you'll find all over the internet, with this constant 70 to 30% failure to success rate, which is even worse for small businesses and startups. And the way that we've split TOMS is to provide two smaller and more focused paths for you to follow. But as I mentioned, the programs are modularized. So there are plenty of mini courses, tutorials, and masterclasses for you to take. These are designed to help you with specific pain points or more focused problems. So they don't provide you with a step-by-step process or path-led approach to solving your problems, and they can be seen more as tactics that you can deploy along your strategy journey and your transformation journey. So there are mini courses, tutorials, and masterclasses that are just about the mission model or about mapping customer journeys or creating an implementation roadmap, etc. If you need help working out which is the right learning program for you based on which path you should be taking, you can take the Strategy Journey Analyzer assessment, where we'll be asking you a few questions to help you work out which is the right program for you to be taking right now. There's a link to this assessment in the description below. Now, to be clear, you can actually take this assessment multiple times and come up with a different result. And the reason for this is because the different courses that we provide at the Stratability Academy are designed to suit the different transformation journeys that you're undergoing and experiencing. And this can include the journey to solve a problem for a business or for a client or for yourself in your career. And what you may find is that you might not in your career right now be suited to the more deep dive courses, and perhaps you need to cover the foundational level of the Strategy Journey methodology, which is covered in the Strategy Journey Accelerator, or you're interested in special guidance on entrepreneurship and setting up a business of your own, and in that case, the entrepreneur track may be more suited to you. Now, you might be asking, is the Strategy Journey Accelerator a prerequisite before you take the deep dive training courses? And the standard answer that I would give you is no. You don't need to have taken the Strategy Journey Accelerator before you dive into the path-led programs. Of course, it would certainly help if you learn all the foundational elements in the Accelerator program before diving into a big transformation program that involves one of the 3 paths. But we've had many past participants of the deep dive programs who actually do it the other way around, who find benefit after completing a deep dive program to move into the Accelerator. As I said before, it really does depend on what it is that you want to achieve in your current role and in your career, and also whether you're actually involved in a program of change or transformation right now, where you might be able to get your company to fund your learning and development. It really does come down to whether you need breadth versus depth into the strategy journey methodology. Do you want to be in the position to understand and then practice transformation design within the end-to-end strategy journey process and support your personal career growth and development? In which case, I'd say the Accelerator and the breadth of what it covers is the right program for you. Or do you want to have that deep dive, problem-specific transformation design experience and develop your ability to structure, lead, and influence transformation in an enterprise? And if that's the case, you'll need to work out which of the 3 deep dive paths is the one that you want to pursue too, because that's how you're going to build your expertise and become a leader in your field. And maybe you need both, but one will certainly take priority over the other. And this decision over covering breadth versus depth and accelerating versus deep dive expertise is a natural fork that many of us approach and reach at different stages of our career. Personally, I ask myself this question at least every 5 years, if not sooner now, especially with the rate and pace of change in our business ecosystem and the digital economy. And this is why we created the Strategy Journey Analyzer Assessment to help you work this out. Which is the right path for you? And there's a workbook that comes with the assessment with some exercises for you to complete that help you to gain that clarity. So again, if you haven't already taken the assessment and gotten your workbook, I've added a link to the assessment in the description below. And so now that you know what programs and courses are available to support your next strategy journey, let's talk about how the Strategy Journey Learning Pathway can support your career journey too. As I highlighted before, there certainly are a lot of roles involved along the different stages of the strategy journey, with different levels of seniority and responsibility and accountability. And the truth is there is no one path, and in fact there are many paths and many dots that you can join across all of these different roles. So your career path is actually not about moving from a business analyst to a project manager or moving from a junior UX designer to becoming a CEO. In fact, these roles and titles change all the time, and some of them barely describe what it is that you're actually meant to be doing on the job. New roles and new titles may appear based on a new technology or a new industry trend. Everything is actually driven by supply and demand as well when it comes to the pay that you might expect in these different roles, which is also influenced by where you're located and the pool of competition that you might be facing. So for example, there are Java developers and data scientists who are in high demand right now all over the world, including hot areas like Silicon Valley and New York and London, and in major cities around the world that are being paid significantly more than a senior program director at a big manufacturing firm or even a top bank. And these top specialists may be paid even more than the CEO of a smaller business or a startup. And I hope you can see with this example, there are different forms of reward that come into the picture. So the CEO of a small business or a startup might have equity, which changes the value that they receive from the hard work that they put in and the risk that they have to take in their roles. And we know that startup founders tend to do everything in their role. Most of them aren't just conceptual, they're getting their hands dirty, coding, building the business, looking at operations, processing sales, just about everything. Now, the risks and hard work and hours put in may very well end up in nothing when it comes to the specific business that this startup owner or founder is actually involved in right now. Because as we know, startups can fail quite easily. But it doesn't mean that this startup owner or founder or CEO didn't learn from their experience, and they take the skills and experiences that they've built from their entrepreneurship journey onto the next project or the next role, whatever that might be. That might be a new business, it might be a normal role for another company. The truth is, it's all about gaining the right levels of experience in the problem-solving process. And you can do that in any of these roles that you might partake in along the entire strategy journey end to end. And so I hope you can see here that your career journey is not about how much you get paid or the job or role title that you achieve. Because in the world that we live in, any specific area or role or industry can be disrupted fairly quickly. And we've seen that acceleration of disruption and change during the COVID-19 pandemic. The Strategy Journey methodology and the courses and programs in the Strategy Journey pathway work differently to help you increase your experience along the different stages of the strategy journey based on the role that you're already in or the role that you choose to actually take part in, based on the problems that you need to and choose to get involved in solving. The programs and courses and the activities that you'll learn and practice are set up to exponentially accelerate your experience and your ability to be able to solve these different business problems. The Strategy Journey framework and methodology is a problem-solving framework. And so when it comes to career growth and progression, this is why we actually talk about moving from analyst to associate to being a senior to being a coach and then a master of problem-solving or the problem-solving process. And with that comes the mandate that you get to influence different stakeholders and customers and to partake in decision-making, as well as the perceived value or true value that you bring to the table. This is actually how you increase how you get paid or how you can charge more for your services and your time. As a designer, a consultant, an architect, a creator, and a delivery and executioner of transformation and outcomes. And as you can see here, the programs and courses from the Strategy Journey Learning Pathway actually span this career journey. Whether you want breadth through the Strategy Journey Accelerator and then to increase your levels of leadership, from self-leadership to team leadership and enterprise leadership, or whether you want to build an expertise in business design for disruption, transforming operating models with service design, or managing the transformation journey, or actually even if you wanted to become a coach and a master yourself. We actually have a program for that too, and many of our past program participants are actually taking this extra step so that they can actually join us as mentors and eventually become business coaches or to start their own consultancy or design agency. Now, I've talked about how you'll gain more experiences from attending the programs and courses in the Strategy Journey Learning Pathway. And I've introduced these levels of experience from analyst to associate to senior to coach and then master. But what does this really mean? What will you gain? Well, let's start with certification. There are a lot of other courses that teach you things and will even certify that you've been through the course. That's great and all, but they can't certify that you have the relevant experience in the practice and application of the transformation design process. They don't qualify how good you are or if you really know what you're doing in the field and in the wild on real projects. An exam on how much theory you know doesn't cut it when it comes to an employer who might be considering you for a position. And that's the difference with the programs and courses from the Strategy Journey Learning Pathway, from the Stratability Academy. When you're on one of our programs or courses, not only will we certify that you've completed the course, everybody gets that, but depending on your participation and what you submit when you're working on solving specific problems with us through your case study work, you can actually submit those to be qualified by us as proof of your experience. And so that's the difference between certification and accreditation, which is what we focus on doing. And so to achieve the analyst practitioner or level 1, as we call it, depending on your body of work that you submit, we can accredit you as having 1 to 5 years of different service experiences. including what strategy journey paths you've been involved in, which specific challenges that you've tackled, what specific stakeholders have you really worked with, and the overall quality and value that you've provided on your projects. And we'll accredit you as an associate when you've accumulated a body of work that might include 10 to 15 successful end-to-end services, which you've practiced on across different problems that you may have solved for the organization that you work for or for a number of different organizations if you are a consultant. As I said before, we accredit your real experiences. And so with the associate practitioner level, this might include some teams that you've led, what sorts of meetings and conversations that you've actually run with senior stakeholders. And when we move into the senior practitioner level, then again, this is an increase in the number of end-to-end service-based projects that you've run or led, the number of people that you've worked with in your teams, the sorts of politically charged conversations and engagements that you may have had, the size of the different budget proposals that you've become involved in and your role in making a difference. To become a coach, this means that you have the ability to actually support and advise others in your organization. You're leading by example, and people respect you for your opinions and seek your advice. And you're starting to have a lot of conversations with the C-suite and to build relationships across multiple teams, into different firms, into forming partnerships with different vendors. Or you're getting involved in meeting with the general counsel for a regulator to provide your guidance and advice on transformation. And so with all this experience, we'll actually accredit you to teach and coach specific skills. And if you've actually already been working in industry for over 8 years, then you should really be capable of coaching in a specific area and mentoring others. And 8 years is just a figure we've placed based on the research that we've conducted. For some people and in certain industries, this may happen much sooner, and for others, it may happen a bit later. They say when you're capable of mentoring, coaching, and teaching others, that's when you've truly become an expert in your field. But of course, this doesn't mean that you necessarily want to stay in your field. You might be looking to transition into a different area. And the Strategy Journey Pathway will support you to explore different options as well. And then finally, what makes for a master practitioner? This means that you're involved in leading your industry and on looking at changes and research and supporting a whole community of different practitioners and other experts. You might even be supporting a group of coaches, and you've become a key person of influence with many senior level relationships, not just within your organization, but within your industry. And so I hope you can see how the Strategy Journey Learning Pathway isn't just teaching you the what, it's also helping you to practice the how, and will qualify and accredit you as having gained that experience. As proof to your future employers, to your future teams, to your future peers in your industry, to your future clients and customers, that you are who you are and capable of doing what you can do. And if you speak to any of our past alumni, you'll see the confidence that they've gained in their own abilities and skills in the wild, in the field, on their real projects. And we love inviting our best alumni to come back to join us as mentors and to gain the coaching certification so that they can teach and help others and become true experts in their fields. So when you join our deep dive courses, you'll certainly get support from a mentor who is an alumni. And finally, you might very well be a senior stakeholder or a team lead, and you're actually discovering that the training and coaching that we provide in the different programs and courses in the Strategy Journey Learning Pathway might be appropriate to your teams. Whether you're in charge of a specific function, or you're a service or product owner, you're a senior board member, or you might be running a transformation academy or an innovation center of excellence. If you think that the strategy journey and the methodology and any of our training can actually help you and your people to improve how you design and execute transformation in your organization and on your projects, then do get in touch with us at academy@stratability.co. And we know you need help because increasingly we've been approached by a number of leaders at different organizations to do exactly this, to help them improve or in some cases even set up the Innovation Academy and Entrepreneur Institute using the different tools from the Strategy Journey framework and the programs from the Strategy Journey Learning Pathway. And that's a wrap for this masterclass. And if you want more detail on the individual lesson plans and learning outcomes in any of the programs and courses, I provided links in the descriptions below. I look forward to seeing and working with you inside one of these courses.